Welcome to the Florida 2021 Libertarian State Convention. We made it. Now listen, it's great to see so many familiar faces in the audience. For those that don't know me, my name is Donovan Pyle. I'm probably not a real libertarian, but we'll discuss that later. Here we go, right? Okay, well listen, it is a privilege and an honor to be with all of you tonight and sharing energy and ideas and enthusiasm about what we're doing. We have a lot of good things to talk about. So, have a seat, please.
I thought we were standing.
We were. All
right.
I know. We're going to do that a few more times. Anybody heard of Spike Cohen?
Maybe.
Lady Liberty herself, Miss Jo Jorgensen. All right. And how about that Justin Amash guy? Anybody heard of him? That's pretty cool. Anybody catch that ABC interview he did a couple weeks ago? Listen, he even got Donna Brazil nodding her head. Now listen, I love Donna, but she's tough. She's tough. Wow. All right. Anyway, so listen. We are super grateful for our speakers for traveling here this evening and for the weekend. But really, we certainly want to take a moment to recognize all of you and all the work that you guys are doing. And why? Well, because we know it takes a tremendous amount of sacrifice by smart and motivated people in order to make a positive impact in our lives. And so, everybody in this room knows that it's no longer acceptable or even productive to yell at our TVs, to complain to our friends and our families about the challenges that we face here as a nation. And so, it's really important that we get together like we are doing right now to work strategically and collaboratively in pursuit of our higher goals. And, for a very good reason. Our citizens want more choices. We all know this. And for the past 50 years, guys, the Libertarian Party has been working responsibly and respectfully to scale solutions, ideas, and yes, even candidates that will break the straitjacket of tribalism and allow the dream of America to become self-actualized. Pretty deep stuff. Well, okay, so we know our citizens want peace. We know our citizens want prosperity. We know our citizens want equality under the law. And everyone in this room understands that the Libertarian platform is the only platform that transcends the left-right paradigm and can bring our citizens together in pursuit of these common goals. Thanks, man. I got one guy. All right. Now, before we bring up our first speaker, we want to recognize the people in the audience who have voluntarily sacrificed their time, their resources, time with their families in pursuit of spreading the Libertarian Party's positive message. So, if you have ever served as a leader on a state or local level, please stand up. Be recognized. Give them a round of applause. Come on. If you've ever ran for office or are currently running for office, please stand. Be recognized. We appreciate you. And if you are a current or past elected official, please rise.
Hey, that's you.
Yeah, Jim. Okay, so I just want to go over a couple bullet points here. Despite our highly polarized election, the Libertarian Party managed to build momentum and its base in the 2020 presidential election. In 2020, let's level set here, we were the only third party to gain ballot access in all 50 states. That's a big deal. The Democrats and Republicans made sure that party did. Not only that, for the first time in U.S. history, a third party gained ballot access in all 50 states for 3 consecutive election cycles, and that party was, yep, again, the Libertarian Party. Give yourselves a round of applause. And to top it all off, in 2020, our presidential ticket comprised of Joe Jorgensen and Spike Cohen received the second highest number of votes that any Libertarian presidential ticket has ever produced. In 2020, they got over 1.9 million votes. And these people rejected the false premise of the left-right paradigm and proudly voted for the Libertarian ticket. Give them a hand. We're going to celebrate our victories tonight and throughout the weekend, but we also know we have a lot of work to do. And with that, I want to introduce our first speaker. I just learned this today, but I thought this was fascinating, and it really does deserve more attention. Our first speaker was the first millennial to be on the ballot in all 50 states. I didn't know that. Is a nationally syndicated radio guest and an entrepreneur that helped small businesses scale the e-commerce revolution in the early 2000s. So with that, please give a warm welcome to Libertarian Party's 2020 Vice Presidential candidate, Mr. Spike Cohen!
Florida. Guys, I have one question to start this off. Who here is ready for the revolution? Yeah! Who here is ready to end wars? Yeah! Who here is ready to end taxation and the Fed? Good crowd so far, good crowd.
Absolutely.
I was hoping the Fed thing would land, it did. I'm happy about that. Who here is ready to set Florida free? Well, that's good news, because that's what we're here for, and the Libertarian Party of Florida is the only viable vehicle to do that. We are the only party who explicitly says that the people do best when they are most free. We are the only people who say that the problems that we're facing are for one reason only. We have put too much power in the hands of too few people, and they have used it to rob us and to enrich themselves and the cronies who put them in office. And the only way we're going to fix that is by kicking those clowns out of office and taking the damn power back. Who's with me on that? Folks, by the way, also occasionally I'm going to come over here and talk like this so poor Jim can get some pictures of me by the sign. So folks, I am so happy to be back in Florida. I go to a lot of these other conventions, and of course every state I go to, I go, this is my favorite state. But Florida might be my favorite state, and I seriously mean that. I left Florida. I try my best, man. I left Florida at 4 in the morning on October 16th with a sunburn that I 100% earned on the beach of Miami. Okay? And every day since then, and you can ask my wife when she gets here, because she'll tell you, every day since then, I've been saying, when are we going to get back to Florida? Literally every day. When we landed today in Tampa, I opened my eyes because I fell asleep on the plane. I opened my eyes and I said, yes, Florida, I am back. This is actually my first convention for the Florida convention. I'm really excited to do this. Folks, we are going to have a lot of fun this weekend.
Yeah!
Well, he is anyway. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're also going to get some serious work done. We're going to get the work that needs to be done to create the society that we want to see. A free society, a society where we aren't ordered around and robbed, a society where we decide as individuals, free, empowered individuals, whose autonomy is respected, working together voluntarily with others to build solutions that we want to see. That is where it begins. It begins right here with the Libertarian Party of Florida. Now, before I talk any further, I just want to thank you for a moment, because last year, many of y'all, not all of y'all, but many of y'all, most of y'all, voted to give me, bestow upon me, the second most incredible honor, second only to my wife saying yes when I asked her to marry me. And that was the honor of going around the country on behalf of you, on behalf of this party, to spread the message of liberty and to say why Joe Jorgensen was the best person, bar none, to vote for president last year. And so I thank you so much for that. You'll notice I just asked you to applaud yourself for picking me. But thank you again. The work we're doing here is going to be very important, because this is what it takes for us to set Florida free and to set America free. We all went through 2020, right? I would imagine so. Maybe some of y'all slept through it, but we all went through it. And we didn't need last year's events and even some of this year's events to know that we were needed. We didn't need COVID to tell us that government-managed healthcare was a terrible way to manage healthcare. We didn't need the lockdowns and the mandates, even here in Florida. We didn't need that to show us that the government has absolutely no damn business telling us whether we're essential or not. We're essential. They're the ones who can stay home if they want to. We didn't need those massive bailouts to billionaires, trillions of dollars being robbed from you and future generations that haven't even been born yet. We didn't need that to know that government has absolutely no business building a gravy train on our backs to enrich themselves and the cronies who put them in office. Okay, listen, first of all, anytime you want to applaud me, do not wait for me to stop talking. Just start clapping. Never mistake anything I say or do for an attempt to block you from cheering me on, okay? Do not hesitate, like literally. It will not turn me up, it'll only get me more excited, okay? And it just gives me more time to talk, because I gotta wait for you to finish. We didn't need the events of 2020 and coming into the events of 2021 to know that the Libertarian Party is the only one that's gonna fix it. We have Republicans that talk about small government and less taxes and less spending and less regulation, and they do the exact opposite. We have Democrats talking about criminal justice reform and police reform and ending the war on drugs, and they don't do that either. We know that what they like to do is steal some of our best ideas, couple it with some other ideas that are based on the fear that they impose on everyone, and then not really do any of that shit, honestly. They just get up there and they hand money off to their cronies and they order us around, and then they tell us, well, if you don't vote for me, you're gonna get that guy over there who I work with every day to rob you blind. That's what we get. That's the shell game that we get from the Republicrats. That will only end. You can clap. Do not clap. Do not ever not clap. And folks, that's why. Folks, that's why we're here. We're here to have fun. We're here to finally be in a space where we don't have to explain how we're going to build the roads. We are here to finally just be around people where we don't have to constantly explain how a libertarian society is going to work in every single detail, while they don't have to explain why the society they want is failing massively every day. But that's not the only reason we're here. We're here because we know that we are the only ones that are going to get this done. Let's be very clear. Yes. I want to be very clear about something. We're going to win. Liberty is going to win. It might not always seem like that. And it's hard for that to look that way often. Very often we look and we see the debt spiraling out of control. We see the Fed printing out so much money they don't even bother printing it out anymore. They just add zeros to the ledger. We see Democrats and Republicans just working together. That's right, money machine goes brr. Yep. Except they don't even bother with money machines anymore. It's just, zero machine goes brr. We see the wars continue, even though both sides talk about ending them and it never happens. We see people who sign up to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States from all enemies, foreign and domestic, and to protect the American people, get sent overseas by those domestic enemies to fight and kill and die on behalf of central bankers, the military-industrial complex, weapons contractors, politicians, foreign dictators, drug cartels, terror groups. And then if they are fortunate enough not to come home in a flag-draped casket, they often come home with all sorts of issues, PTSD, traumatic brain injuries, all sorts of psychological issues and everything else, even just the burden of having done that. And they're subjected to the absolute worst form of healthcare in this country, which also happens to be the most government-managed form of healthcare in this country. Funny how that works. We see people thinking. We see people... That's why we need to end the VA and just give them the money they need to make their own care. We see people who during a pandemic are... Gosh. We see people who during a pandemic are scared to go to a hospital because they're scared that it's going to bankrupt them. Because Republicans and Democrats have driven up the cost of health care so much in order to benefit the cronies who put them in office that an increasing number of Americans can't even afford health care, even with subsidization. And we know that's not going to end with Republicans and Democrats. We see government under both Republicans and Democrats increasingly telling you what weapons you can and cannot own, because apparently they can't read one of the simplest sentences on the Constitution, which says, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. We see people being put in cages for owning plants, while Big Pharma sells poison and mandates children to have to take it in some cases. We see a government that is cynical and apathetic and abusive, thieving murderers running this country. So when I tell you that liberty will win, that might not sound true. When I tell you that we're going to accomplish all of our goals, but then you see that we get spent 1,000 to 1, sometimes 10,000 to 1, that might not seem possible. When I tell you that we're going to accomplish every goal that we have, and yet we often get little to no media attention, that might not even look like it could possibly happen. But let me tell you something. If you look at every single movement on this planet that has ever resulted in people being freer and people doing better afterwards, the Magna Carta, the peasant revolts, the ending of slavery, civil rights movements, any of these things that have happened, every single one of them started with a small handful of people, sometimes a single family, sometimes one or two people, who looked at those odds and who saw how overwhelming they were, and they didn't care. They didn't care how outnumbered or outgunned or outspent they were. They didn't care how hard it was to get others to join them in their cause, in their fight. They didn't care how much danger they were in. None of that mattered to them. They were going to fight until they won, because the only alternative to that was to just shrug their shoulders and say, well, I guess it's going to be that way. That that was unacceptable to them. So they fought until they won. That is unacceptable to us. And that is why this party that started in someone's living room 50 years ago and has grown to the third largest party in this country and the fastest growing party with a bullet is going to win. Liberty will win. We will end the war. We will end wars. We will end taxation. We will end the war on drugs. We will end the Fed. We will end every imposition that the Republicans have put on you and every other person in this country and people around the world. And when we win, when liberty wins, when all of this nonsense is just some quaint history item that people look at and say, wow, look at how terrible things were back then before the libertarians fixed it. It'll be because of you. And you will be the ones that they talk about. The remnant, the trailblazers, the revolutionaries, the people who said, I don't care what it takes. I'm going to fight until we win. And that is exactly what we are going to do. I don't know why you're here, but I am here for a revolution. Now who's with me?